Hey everybody, my name is Adam, and in this video series I'm going to be sharing 20 things that I've learned over the last 20 years of being in full-time youth ministry. Today we're talking about authenticity. Now, hold on, before you click this off, hear me out. I know authenticity is a buzzword and it's always talked about and you're hearing about it so much you want to ignore it, but I believe this is something that's lived out far less than it's talked about. But if we can figure out why this is so important, why people are always talking about why it's such a big deal, this will be critical. So let's jump into it. Authenticity matters. Authenticity is huge. Be real. Be yourself and be real. Authenticity is critical to our long-term success as youth pastors. Plus, it's like the tagline of Craig Groeschel's leadership podcast.
Be yourself. Why? Because people would rather follow a leader who's always real than one who's always right.
So maybe this is me assimilating 20 years of youth ministry and giving it to you guys, and maybe it's just that it's been pounded in my head over the last couple of years from Craig Groeschel. If Craig Groeschel, who runs one of the leading leadership podcasts in the church today, if it's his tagline of his podcast, there's got to be something to it. So my question for you is, are you a leader who is always real? Guys, so I don't really have a formula for how this all works best or anything like that. It's just something that I'm learning, especially lately, as I've been trying to be really honest and really authentic and vulnerable with some of my failures and some of the things that I've been humbled in. And I've realized, wow, people really resonate with this and really want to follow somebody who is being real. The longer I go in youth ministry, the more I'm convinced that authenticity is critical. I've heard it said that you lead people through your strengths, but you connect with people through your weaknesses. What I'm learning is that the more authentic I can be, the more I can admit my mistakes, admit my failures, admit to my weaknesses, the more that people are naturally drawn to me and resonate with me and connect with me. This is both a personal leadership principle and a preaching principle. See, what I used to think when I was younger in youth ministries, that I should share all of my victories, that I should share all of my big wins, of my strengths, of my trophies and my success stories. But then over time, I've realized people aren't inspired by my successes. They're actually more inspired by my weaknesses and my failures, which I'm like, this is weird. This doesn't make sense. People want to hear me talk about when I failed. People want to hear me talk about when I've messed up. We've all got fears. We've all got weaknesses. We've all got insecurities. We've all got issues and struggles. Don't be afraid to be honest about those things. It will make you a better and more effective leader. People need to know that you're human. People need to know that you actually struggle with things so that they can trust, oh, this person has struggled, so he can help guide me through all the struggles that I'm facing. And I've seen this in my preaching and my teaching and my leadership and even here on YouTube. What I've noticed on YouTube is that when I share a story, like an authentic story that's real, that's honest, that's vulnerable, I get tons of views, tons of interaction. When I share a video, maybe like this one, where I'm just kind of showing, hey, I'm the expert in this subject, listen to me, I get far less views, far less interactions. People don't want to listen to me talk about me being an expert. People don't want to listen to me talk about me being an expert. People want to know that I'm human and that I'm real. They know that you're an expert to some level if you're on a stage or if you're leading something. They want to know, are you a normal person who can relate to me, who can understand my struggles, who can understand my weaknesses, who can understand my insecurities? Guys, the good news about this is you don't have to have it all together. Like, yes, you need to be a competent leader, but you don't have to be perfect. And so I think as a church leader, if you make mistakes, admit those mistakes. If you fail, admit those failures. Own your failures. Own your mistakes. Be real about them. Be honest about them. And people will follow you because of that. It's maybe it may not make sense in your mind, but it's totally true. They did a survey asking everybody what are the number one traits of somebody who you willingly want to follow. The number one thing that people said was a leader who is honest. Honesty goes hand in hand, maybe even synonymous with authenticity. Are you an honest leader? Think about Paul, one of the greatest church leaders in the history of the world. Paul literally had more reasons to brag and boast about how awesome he was than almost anyone. But what I find fascinating and inspiring about the Apostle Paul is we see tons of his weaknesses coming out in Scripture. He was authentic. He was talking about his struggles. He was talking about his insecurities. He was talking about his weaknesses. He talked about his tendency to want to sin. Like Paul all over the place talks about his weaknesses, not just his strengths, not just his victories. And so let's take inspiration from Paul and be like him in trying to work towards being as real as we possibly can. Now, obviously, there's wisdom that you need to use here, and you shouldn't be sharing everything with the students in your youth ministry. Like, for example, you would have a different level of sharing and authenticity with your accountability partner than you would with the middle school students in your youth ministry. But that doesn't mean, because you're sharing different things with those different groups of people, doesn't mean you're not being real and not being yourself. It just means you're being wise and you're being a smart leader. There's different types of people. Some people err on the side of sharing too much. Some people err on the side of sharing not enough of their weaknesses. Me, I'm the one who I would rather people see me as strong than as weak, and so I need to work towards stretching outside of my comfort zone towards being more real and more vulnerable and sharing more than I'm comfortable with. Some of you need to go the other way on that. So there's this tension to be managed in authenticity. But what I'm learning over the years is that the more authentic that I can be, the more effective that I become as a leader. One quick side note before I wrap this up is don't let authenticity be an excuse for being bad. You still need to work hard and do your best and be excellent in everything you're doing. You can be excellent and be authentic at the same time. Some people are just like, oh, I'm trying to be authentic, and they do stuff that just sucks. Don't do that. This is one of those areas that I'm still growing a lot in and have a lot of growth still to be able to, master this or whatever. And I don't know where you're at with this, but I want to encourage you. I'm convinced that if you're going to be successful long-term in youth ministry, authenticity is huge. It's super essential that we be authentic as youth pastors. Thanks for watching. Peace.